Welcome to Dan and Sarah Makers. Today I'm going to be working on Season 1, Episode 6 of the Great British Bake Off, and I'm going to be working on the princess cake from the Technical Challenge, but I will be using all gluten-free ingredients, also no whey protein. But I just want to point out something. This recipe, this whole process, has so many ingredients, and just as a reminder, the contestants aren't paying for all those ingredients when they're making the technical challenges. So I was shocked. I think I ended up spending around $150 just to get all the stuff I needed for this bake. It's been interesting also because I've never used a powdered food coloring, but because of the way this cake is made, you have to use a different type of food coloring. So just a lot of stuff, and because we're in COVID world right now, there were a lot of things that I had to end up getting that were back ordered. So this took a long time to get ready, and now we're gonna get started. Let's start with the custard. Okay, there's 600 milliliters of milk. Super expensive, ridiculous vanilla pods. That smell just like vanilla out of the container. Mary Berry would kill me for saying that. They're very fibrous. And then you're supposed to scrape the seeds out. There they are. Put the pot in there. Then I just turn it on to simmer. Okay, while I do that, I'm supposed to separate 6 eggs. Here we go, 6. Okay, so I have the sugar done, or sorry, the milk done, the vanilla pod done. 6 egg yolks, 100 grams castor sugar, 100 grams castor sugar, and then 50 grams cornstarch. pour it back into the pan and whisk it. Whoa, that got really thick just stopping for a second. Wow. I'm afraid I'm cooking it too fast. Wow.
2 minutes in.
I know. Holy cow.
"45 seconds, you can do it." 3, 2, 1, you're done.
All right, so then it says,
What's that goober on there?
that is beans, vanilla beans, seeds.
So we don't mind if
It's the
it goes
same
back in.
knife. That's a good question. It looks kind of gross if you didn't know what it was. Thank you. From previous experience with these recipes, if anything is missing, you don't have enough. So I am going to just scoop out the rest of this with a spatula. Make sure I get every little bit. Including some more vanilla beans seeds that were on the side. And then this needs to be up against the custard, because if you don't put it on top, touching it, it creates a skin that you have to peel off. It's not the same consistency, it dries the custard out. So you want to make sure you cover it up like that. And then that goes in the fridge. I've modified this slightly because I don't know where to get jam sugar. But basically jam sugar is just powdered lemon, like real lemon or something. And then it also has pectin in it and then sugar. So I did a little bit of research with Dan and we have come to the conclusion that we're going to go with a recipe for like real pectin from the ball manufacturer, and that calls for 8 ounces of raspberries, and then I'm going to add the assigned amount of sugar, which is 175 grams of regular sugar, and then 1.5 tablespoons of pectin. So that's what I'm doing now. So hopefully this comes out to about 8 ounces of raspberries. The raspberries from the store are super expensive, but I didn't have enough of my own. So we're gonna do the store raspberries. And then my raspberries. Hopefully I get to 8 ounces. Please be 8 ounces. Oh, that's perfect. 2 tablespoons of water. Okay. Cook gently over low heat, stirring occasionally until the sugar is dissolved. Bring the mixture to the boil and boil vigorously for about, so I have this way too high, for about 4 minutes. That's hot.
Love it.
That's exactly 4 minutes. That's crazy how accurate the instructions are. For the sponge, I have done this one before for the tiramisu, so it's basically the same recipe again, but it's 4 large eggs, 5.5 ounces castor sugar, 2.5 ounces cornstarch, 2.5 ounces Pamela's pancake and baking mix, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and 50 grams of butter melted. So what I'm going to start out with is the 4 eggs.
And again, why do you crack your eggs into a separate container?
So I am sure that I don't have any egg shells in the final product.
Easier to pick them out.
And I use a dark bowl so that I can actually see if there are any eggshells in there. Okay, 4 eggs. So while I whisk together until the mixture is a pale and thick consistency, and this will take about 5 minutes. So while I'm doing that, I'm also going to measure the dry ingredients that I'm going to put in here. So the reason I'm putting them in a sieve is so that I can lightly incorporate them later, but I need to measure them. So this is why I have it all sitting over my measuring scale. That's so cool how eggs and sugar can do that. That's it. This stuff into the batter. And From the last time I did this, I found out that if you're not careful and you don't use a sieve, you smash all the bubbles out of your sponge. Every little bit. Alright, now I'm supposed to fold in the melted butter, taking care not to overmix. Never hurts to over parchment your pan.
So you used a little bit of butter to help stick it to the side.
Yeah.
That's good.
So the cake batter's in there. Into the oven. Or with gluten-free stuff, you always want to cook it for a little bit longer if you're not sure, because gluten is forgiving in that it keeps things held together and nice and fluffy even if they're a little underbaked. But with a non-gluten flour, usually it has nuts in it instead of the gluten or wheat grain, and it tends to taste better if it's a little more cooked than not. This morning I made fondant using a recipe so that it was gluten-free, so I made this from scratch. The contestants on the show were given 1 ounce of pre-made pink fondant that they were supposed to shape into a rose, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Each one of these should be about the size of a cherry pit. Okay, so these just get rolled into a ball. Dust the small pieces of grease-proof paper with icing sugar. I did not do that. That's probably why they said to do that, because now they're sticking. Okay. Roll the first petal up like a sausage to form a bud. Like a sausage. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I will pretend I do.
It's like how the petals are very tightly around in the center of a rose.
Yeah, I think that's what that means.
Yep.
And then wrap the remaining petals around the bud to make a rose. I can do that.
It's an amazing artistic ability.
From here on out, I think I'm going to make sure I dust these. sticking at all. I don't know what I should do.
They can't be any worse than the tempered chocolate.
Thanks.
Most likely.
They're all drying out so much that they're just cracking. So, that's what I'm gonna do about it. It's crispy. Sounds hollow inside.
Toothpick with fondant rose and apple base.
Thanks for the aeration, yeah. So this is cooled to be able to, it's still warm, but I can handle it. So at this point, I'm going to take it out of the springform pan and let it cool on a rack. Hopefully it doesn't collapse, because I have to cut 3 layers out of this thing somehow. I'm gonna use my spatula if I can get it to work or not. Yes, indeed. Somebody's engineer. I don't want to do that because it's going to crack it. I can just peel the paper off right like this. The whipping cream that is easily found here in the stores that I shop at, I guess. I've tried several and they don't carry a double cream. I looked online to see how much it would cost to have some double cream shipped from Europe, and it's like $50 for a pint. So that's not gonna happen. So I found this stuff online. It's called whipped cream powder, and I've never tried it before, but my goal is to get a very stiff whipping cream. And my theory is if I add a little bit of this to the standard 36% whipping cream that I have on hand, it'll whip up to a stiffer final product. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure out my 600 milliliters of whipping cream and then add, I don't know how much of this, it's all just a guessing game, but I'll add some of the powdered whipping cream to it and see how it goes. Oh, it smells just like whipping cream. So it says the ingredients is whipped cream powder, but it definitely tastes like it has sugar in it. I'm gonna put 1/3 of a cup in there. See what happens. It's already starting to thicken up. So the peaks are now staying where they're put. I don't know. I'm afraid if I go any further, it'll be butter. Cut the cake horizontally into 3 even layers. Place one of the sponges onto a serving plate. Spread a very thin layer of custard over the base of the first sponge. Spoon 1/4 of the custard into a piping bag fitted with a small plain nozzle and pipe a border around the edge of the sponge. Spoon the Spoon the jam over the sponge and spread evenly within the border. This is a super sharp knife, and I'm afraid if I bump my fingers, I'm gonna slice myself open.
Oh, nice. Nice job.
Thank you. Okay.
It's not even like overlapped. And it looks good. It's not full of huge holes and
Nope.
a nice crust on it.
Okay. And I'm leaving the top one a little bit bigger because there's a bunch of air bubbles in the top.
True it up later.
Yeah, well, or just let them fall down when I add stuff to the top. Okay, so they're separated now. This is supposed to seal the cake from the jam so that the jam doesn't soak in and make it a big soggy mess. I don't know. I don't know.
So you're building the dam around the edge
Yeah.
to keep the jelly from coming out.
Yep. And I'm supposed to use all of it?
Do you do this for the second layer?
Just on this layer, I think. I'm gonna actually stir this. I probably should have stirred that first. I probably will before I add it to the whipping cream.
So it doesn't knock the
That
cream
is a
down.
nice consistency jam. Really nice. I'd be happy with that.
Perfect amount of pectin.
Yep. So originally I had been told to use 7 ounces of raspberries instead of 8. I think if I don't use all of it, that's fine. So I think I'll just, I'm gonna whip the custard so that it will nicely blend with the whipping cream, hopefully. That's better. I should have done that with that. But you live and learn. Half the whipped cream. It looks like about half the whipped cream. So there are some chunks of like the vanilla bean in here, which is kind of weird to note, but apparently if you use vanilla bean, that's a thing. Okay, so now it says spread 1/3 of the custard cream over the jam. This is the custard cream. That's about 1/3. I wish I would have mixed the custard in the mixer before I did this, but Now I know for next time. That is the best sponge I've ever made in my life. Wow.
Use your best judgment.
Well,
Do you truly
I'm
need
trying to.
2.5 inches of custard?
I don't know. So this last one has a little bit of bobbly stuff on top, so I'm going to trim it flat. Okay, now I'm gonna put this one on top. So based on the way it looks, I'm gonna flip this over. Yeah, I have to. Because otherwise the ridge doesn't lay right, and so it looks like it's upside down. Now I'm supposed to form a small dome and coat the sides and put it in the fridge. Wouldn't you love to eat this, Penny?
She would.
Come on. Shouldn't have touched it. Story. It's just like drywall mud. Just let it be. Last thing, marzipan. $250, perfect. 250 grams.
So if you haven't noticed, we started out with a full dozen eggs. We have used a full 1 dozen eggs in this one recipe.
Oh, just about perfect. There's a little dribble left.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Go ahead and slowly start mixing it together. This is called Angel Bake Food Grade Commercial Food Dye Powder. And this stuff is freaky. Just barely touching it turns my hands green. Definitely green. I'm scared. Let's see what that does to it. I'll go with that and hope that's enough. So like fondant, we will continue to knead the marzipan on powdered sugar. If anyone feels like they're getting early onset diabetes, it's completely normal response to this. You can't help me. I have to do this myself. Is 150 milliliters of whipping cream. I need to whip it to medium peaks and spoon into a piping bag fitted with a small star nozzle, and then pipe it around the base.
Now you are.
Why do they have to have tempered chocolate in like every recipe? I did some more research on tempering chocolate. Not that that's gonna make any difference, but we'll try it again. Yeah, I got a silicone bowl that's supposed to allow for a more consistent heating and cooling for the chocolate. And if you keep at least a few pieces of the chocolate as they are right now, like the shape there, you don't completely melt it, then you seed the chocolate with more chocolate that's already tempered, because this stuff is tempered already. Then the theory is you don't have to start from scratch. The only thing I can hope is that the cake itself is cold enough that it like cools and doesn't just soak into the marzipan. Nubbins still. Not the big chunk. Now I'm gonna add this in. In theory, this should stay tempered. Throw some of these in. So the crystalline structure stays the same. That's way more chocolate than I need. I can practice one, I guess. Okay. So I'm going to attempt to do a little design. Let's see if I can do this. Big enough hole. It's working better than last time. Okay, okay, I can do this. So scary. Okay. I don't know if I should make this more fancy schmancy or if I should just leave it while I'm good. Okay.
Little adhesive.
It's done.
Yay!
Oh boy.
Nice. I will try my best to look like I know what I'm doing. Cut another one here. Well, you can definitely see the cherry or raspberry jelly already on the knife. And then
Up a little bit. There you go. There you go.
there we go.
Is there good layers?
I see a layer. There's plenty of filling in between each layer.
And in the cake itself, pretty close. I mean,
Probably-
the jelly's coming out a little bit, but
Due to a sloppy, smushy cut and not,
a nice clean one.
yeah.
Go down and then you pull it out.
I think a lot of this jelly on the side was from lifting it up and out.
Good layers. Okay. Taste test.
All right. So should I use terminology like claggy and...
Oh,
Okay, so...
if it's claggy, yes.
So we've got the sponge, we've got the jelly, and then we've got some of the cream custard.
Cream custard, yep.
Cream custard. So the bottom was just the cream, the middle was the cream and frosting, and the top was just the frosting, I think.
So the very bottom layer is a custard, then it's jelly, then it's cream custard, then whipping cream on top.
Okay. It is definitely not over the top sweet.
None of their stuff is so far.
So that's good, because I always talk about this as being way too much and there's just too much of this or that.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a little piece of the marzipan on top?
It's good. It looks like it could be a lot sweeter than it actually is. So it's a little bit more conservative in that way. So if you like super sweet cakes, this one definitely is not that. If you like something that has a lot of different textures and flavors, but isn't over the top, like you got to go to the dentist and get your cavities all fixed tomorrow, this is definitely that cake. Marzipan doesn't have like a knock your socks off almond flavor, but it's good. And again, it's a lot of different textures. So for something that you've done nothing like this ever before,
Never.
really good job. The sponge, it's pretty good as far as a gluten-free. Gluten-free tends to be really hard to do, so it's not quite as light and airy as you would think, like, you know, if you were to get like strawberry shortcake, those kinds of sponges. But
Kind of looks like strawberry shortcake, doesn't it?
a little bit.
Like all the colors from strawberry shortcake in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. But yeah, still really good.
Yeah, it does not taste sweet. It's more like a, I don't even know.
And you just had some of the frosting and sponge. You didn't really have the other textures. And
The marzipan is sweet.
yeah.
It almost tastes like it should be a breakfast, like a brunch cake.
Just because it isn't like super over the top dessert.
Yeah.
So we're here in the US and sugar is king, I guess. So I think what we're experiencing is something that's a little bit more conservative, and I don't know, obviously it seems like different parts of the world, different people like different things. That's just what they're familiar with. So it's still really good.
Yeah,
I think it's really good.
really, I think it turned out better than I expected. But it is not sweet.
No. It's not one of those things where you're gonna have a stomach ache and you eat half the slice and you're like, you know, like the over the top wedding cakes where it's just like 2 inches of buttercream and just like
And
you're
it
sick.
looks like it would be, it looks like it would, like you need water next to you to like wash down the sugar.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many cups of sugar we put in here, but it's not, well, it's a lot of cake to mix that sugar in. But there was no sugar in the whipping cream.
No.
So
Just whipping cream and then the addition of the powder to get it up to that, what, 53%? Approximately.
yeah.
Our attempt at it. So,
Yum, but not sweet. Let's see, should I go over my like wins?
sure. Go for it.
I finally tempered chocolate.
Yes.
And I had an awesome video guy, so thanks.
We'll see. She has to edit all my footage, so.
All right, well, thanks for watching Dan and Sarah Makers. We hope these videos inspire you to get out there and try something like this yourself.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see you in episode 7, which is cooking almond, which is a kind of like a bread biscuit
Pastry
for the
type
holidays.
thing.
I don't know what it's going to be like, but we'll give it a try. See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.